Hello, everyone. Once again, Russia has committed war crimes, violating various conventions and rules of war. Russia doesn't care. I suspect the reason Ukrainian government is launching an inquiry into execution of POWs just to make sure they have crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. To say, okay, we have followed the process. All right, international community, you can't say that we haven't done our homework. Here's proof. There's International Criminal Court. Our job is done. So what happened? Apparently, there's been a video that shows two men surrendering and then being shot. Now, the Geneva Convention, in terms of the treatment of POWs, says that once somebody surrenders, you take them in, you take them prisoner, you don't shoot them. But, of course, Russians assume that the laws don't apply to them, conventions don't apply to them, and they shot these men. And this is not the first time. There's been other incidents in which Ukrainian POWs were brutally murdered by Russians. Now, by comparison, we have just as much evidence that when Ukrainians surround a group of Russians, they first offer to them to surrender. And they tell them, if you surrender, we'll take you in, we'll feed you, we'll provide you with a roof over your head, and you will get to call your loved ones to tell them that you're alive. And then, if they refuse to surrender, they proceed to attack. But as much as possible, they offer that option. Big difference. And again, considering Russia claims to everybody that it's carrying culture and civilization to its surrounding nations, you can kind of see who is the civilized one in this particular situation. Meanwhile, the fighting continues in the southeast with heavy casualties for the Russian troops and some good work on the part of the Ukrainian armed forces destroying some of Russia's equipment. Very important. Russian musical group, who is also a group of activists, Pussy Riot, has released a song protesting the war in Ukraine. They're currently on tour, and I doubt these girls will be able to come home, because if they do, they will be immediately arrested if they're lucky, or possibly somebody will organize a car accident for them or something like that. But in their song from stage, they are protesting Putin's regime, protesting the war in Ukraine, asking Russian people to wake up and overthrow the dictator. Again, that kind of rhetoric in Russia gets you a prison term. Now, this article appeared on the CNN website, and it just really struck me. Again, people of Ukraine have demonstrated unbelievable feats of heroism and courage and ingenuity, and this is just one of them. So this guy and his unit were in a basically what appeared to be a hopeless situation, and he made a decision that if he was going to die, he was not going to go alone. At the end of October, the soldier Serhiy and his unit were given a task to hold a line of trenches near Bakhmut. Of course, Bakhmut is a very scary name in the history of the war in Ukraine. I'm sure you've all heard it many times. The mission was supposed to only last 3 days. It stretched out into 2 weeks. They were pinned down, couldn't move either forward or backward, and most of the members of the unit were wounded. And so he decided to call an artillery strike. So he contacted his headquarters, his command, and ordered an artillery strike and gave them his own coordinates, since the Russian troops were right there. He admitted, in this conversation, in this article, that he didn't expect to survive. He didn't expect anyone to survive. But here he is. He's currently in a hospital undergoing treatment for massive wounds, shrapnel wounds. Of course, again, they were right there under the direct artillery fire. But what this man did illustrates the spirit of Ukrainian people. This is what a lot of the world doesn't seem to understand. This is not just some little territorial dispute somewhere. These people are fighting for the survival of their entire country. And they're willing to do this, to call an artillery fire wave upon themselves just so that it takes out the enemy along with them. Anybody who says Ukraine will fall, Ukraine will lose, just don't even show up here on my page, because what you're doing is an insult to this man and others like him. It is an insult to people of Ukraine. During World War II, whenever somebody went around, they were called the provocateurs. But whenever somebody went around and, spread rumors that Germans are winning, Germans are coming, we're not going to win this war, we should just surrender, it was permissible to capture them and execute them on the spot. In Britain, the rules were not quite as brutal, but the person who was spreading such rumors or, pushing such rhetoric could be legitimately arrested. There was an article in their criminal code pertaining to this particular activity. So when you come here and you are saying to me, oh, Ukraine is nothing, Ukraine is going to fold, that's what you're doing. And during World War II, depending on where you were, you would have been either shot or at the very least arrested and investigated for collaboration with the enemy. So just don't.